Hey everybody, welcome to my D&D 5e Out of the Abyss campaign diary. And this is already campaign diary number 9. Wow, time flies by when you're having fun. So don't forget, if you want to listen to this in MP3 format, you can go to the Digital Dungeon Master Podcast website and download the MP3 there. So where we left off last time was the party had taken this grand quest to get out of the Underdark because they betrayed Mick the Peddler and really screwed him over. Finderella basically took a bunch of gold. Well, actually, he really didn't take that much, but Mick portrayed it as he stole a whole ton. But Mick, anyway, ended up losing the Slowpoke, which is his boat. He lost the shanty. He lost all of his goods that was on the Slowpoke, and then he lost everything inside of the shanty. So now the party is in debt to him because he was pissed off. So now they're in the Shrine of Tamachoa, which is the first of 5 parts that Mick wants them to help him with. And the first part is going into the Shrine of Tamachoa, and they have to retrieve the altar of the Bat God of the Underworld. And then once they bring that back to him, he's going to send the party on to the next part of the adventure. And we're going to do a bunch of dungeon delving because, let's face it, guys, gals, that's what these guys want. They go into a room and they just start calling for initiative just before anything I even am able to give them the description of the area they're in or anything. It's sort of like a funny thing in the game. But nonetheless, the game is kind of transitioned. But Mick said after all 5 of these things that he wants them to gather for him, then he will take them to the surface world. And then after that, we'll probably continue on out of the abyss in its normal state. Possibly. We may even go to something else. It just depends. So the party traveled their way through the Lost Shrine of Tamachoa, got through probably about 4 or 5 different rooms. They fought the Lord of Snails at the end, and that's where we went ahead and stopped. And I was really disappointed with the Lord of the Snails adventure as it was written inside of this, Yawning Portal adventure. So to fit the theme of Tamachoa, I wanted to put some yuan-tis in there. And I put some Taskmasters, some Abominations, some Purebloods. And, the Abomination is nothing to snicker at. And one of the party members is going to find this out. So we went ahead, we gave them a long rest, and I'm going to do this first encounter in grave detail. Now, Eton, he goes into the room to start the session off. They've already, had their rest. They've already got their spells back. They've kind of changed some things around. They're running low on potions. And, I think they're starting to realize now, hey, we're in trouble here. I mean, they went into this place, burnt a bunch of potions last time, and they're actually, Fing had a bunch of money that he was hiding from the party, but last session they just blew right through him. So Eton goes into the center of the chamber, which has about 6 to 8 pillars, and this is where I hid the yuan-ti behind the pillars. And there was like an offering bowl in the center of this chamber that had a bunch of bones in it and whatnot. Looked like offerings to the snail god. And there was a lot of lore and information that they found out because of the glyphs and other writings on the walls, on the pillars. They found out that it was basically dedicated to the Lord of Snails. And then Finderella goes into the room and he starts to defile the offering bowl to the Lord of the Snails, throwing the bones. The bowl is actually, it's not stationary. It's a super heavy bowl. It was moving a little bit, but he just basically just destroyed the offering bowl, threw everything out of it, was kicking it. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is a perfect time for my custom built yuan-ti encounter to pop up. And, I actually added another Lord of Snails in there too. Actually, the real Lord of Snails, and I kind of beefed him up by a couple of challenge rating levels. So as Fingerella was doing that, all of a sudden I did a couple of rolls inside of the dice tower, and they failed their passive perception checks, so I gave the yuan-ti the element of surprise. And this is, guys, this is actually a really tough encounter. And as I'm starting to describe, what's happening, the yuan-ti are coming out from behind the columns and whatnot. I'm starting to show them images of what the yuan-ti look like. And then Club, he says, oh, awesome yuan-ti. I've never fought these in all the years of D&D that I've been playing. So now, seeing that I've never fought them, I'm going to kill them anyway. I'm going to crush them. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is going to be a hard encounter. And like I said, I'm going to do this in a little bit more detail. So the Lord of Snails basically comes up from the water. It was actually hiding in a pit. I just put a pit there. And right off the bat, Lord of the Snails spits a 20-foot stream of acid, hits like 4 of the party members. It was beautiful. A couple of them saved their save. A couple of them failed their save. They take 3D, I think it was 3d6 damage. So, the fight started off nice. And during the first round, the surprise round, where all of the yuan-ti had advantage, they were taking a lot of damage because these yuan-tis are getting multiple attacks with their longbows and they're hitting them with range. And everybody's going, oh shit, this is a pretty tough encounter. And the first words out of their mouths are, okay, who's got healing potions left? So after the surprise round, most of the players, excluding a couple, are already at about half life. So Fergie engages the Lord of the Snails. And Fergie does a lot of damage. She kicks ass. Fergie plays an excellent paladin. And Fergie goes in and just starts blasting this thing using inspiration, using, divine smite. And she's upgrading the spell slots to do more damage, do additional d8s. And Fergie will do about 50 damage a round. That's if Fergie hits twice. And she crushed the Lord of the Snails in one round, did 50 damage. So the Lord of the Snails is in bad shape. I mean, just right off the bat. And then after Fergie, Fingerella is now, it's his turn. And he had just watched Wonder Woman. I don't know if you guys had watched Wonder Woman, but as the Amazonians were fighting, they would yell shield, and one would jump onto a shield, and then the other Amazonians would kind of catapult the person jumping onto the shield for this acrobatical maneuver. So that's what Fingerella did. And Fingerella, by this point, he's already got the bottle of Kraken open. He's got a brand new bottle of Kraken. That's the name of the liquor he's drinking. And he held up a full bottle, and Fergie actually said, wow, that's rare, a full bottle of Kraken in the house of a thing. It was actually pretty funny when he said that, and he goes, ouch, that kind of hurts. So Fing yells shield, right? And he's explaining this Wonder Woman type of scene, and he jumps, and Fing actually nailed the acrobatics check with a 20. So he gave this grand cinematic scene, and as he's tumbling through the air. And of course, I give him a little bit of extra movement, and he lands behind the Lord of Snails. And then he attacks. And of course, now he's higher level. He gets all these additional D6s for sneak attack, and the attack hits. But every single roll, he rolled the D6 for his weapon, and then 3 more D6 for the sneak attack. And I'm not shitting you, he rolled a 2 and 3 1s. So he did a total of 6 damage on this attack, 6 or 7 damage. And he was like, well, that was all for nothing. He did this amazing triple Linden that did all, and he's talking about all these movies in the past that he's seen and shit. It was so funny. Now next, Jimson goes. And remember, Jimson, he bought that. Well, he didn't buy. He found the necklace of fireballs. So he finally breaks one of these beads off of the necklace of fireballs. So he's, trying to there's no to hit roll with this. You just, wherever point that you want within 60 feet, you throw it and the bead explodes. And in fact, he almost pulled the entire bead off. He almost threw all 9 beads because he was really worrying because of their health had already been dipped down, after that first surprise round. But he, and everybody was like, oh yeah, Jimson's breaking out the big guns. And he throws the bead and he strategically places it and hits a couple of the yuan-ti. And they both failed their save. Well, as he did that, the fireball, of course, the burst and the combustion from the fireball reached around a couple of the pillars, which I had a couple more yuan-tis. That's where the pitmaster and the abomination were hiding. And a pureblood. So now he's ignited 3 others that are running out, and they're going, holy shit, Dave is really putting a hard encounter on us. So the party has a pretty good first round, but then that's when I start breaking out all of the yuan-ti features and stuff. So one of the yuan-ti sleeps the party. It can sleep up to 5 party members, and it's not like the sleep spell where you have a hit dice pool, you roll it. No, this is actually affects 5 party members within sight. And 3 of the party members actually failed. It was Puck, Jimson, and Eton. They all failed. That is such an overpowered sleep. It's called Maraudus or something like that. It's actually a really cool yuan-ti feature. I really suggest you use that on your party because that'll make them shit bricks for sure. Club, as he resists that overpowered sleep, he's now getting chipper by this point. He's being clubbed. And it's his turn. He rages and he engages the pitmaster. And he's yelling, "You ain't killing shit." And he's actually kind of goading me right off the bat. A couple of times he's done it in past games where, you're not going to take me down. My resistance is overpowered. And I'm thinking, okay, man, we're going to see how this encounter plays out. Because little does he know, the abomination that is fixing to engage him from range has a massive +8 or +9 to hit and does a bunch of piercing damage from the bow, and then I think 2d8 piercing, and then an additional 3d8 from poison damage. So he's going to take on a normal hit 5d8. Little does he know he's going to take full damage from that poison damage. He'll half the damage on the piercing though because of rage, but he just doesn't know. So the abomination uses all of its movement and starts to, move towards Club, and it's now Club's turn. Of course, he rages. He engages this thing, and he doesn't know what he's getting himself into. He really doesn't. And like I said, this thing does 2d8 +3 piercing plus another 3d8 poison from a longbow. But he ignores it. He goes right for the taskmaster. Well, the pitmaster, I'm sorry. And he leaves 5 foot of space between he and the abomination. So the abomination isn't going to get disadvantage on its bow attacks. And I am laughing at myself under my breath. I'm not saying a damn thing because I know that he's fixing to get the shithead out of him. So now the abomination, it shoots twice. This thing does 39 damage with 2 hits. 39 damage. And that was with Club's resistance. So Club, now he goes from, I'm going to fuck you up, to, oh shit, I've never taken that much damage, let alone that much damage at one time. So Stool, remember they have Stool because of the whole language barrier thing. That's why I let him stay. But Mick told them back in Blingdenstone that it would be a good idea for you to take this Myconid, because if you don't, he's probably going to end up on the buffet bar inside of the Delmonico room. Oh, it was great. So they took Stool, of course, And plus, he was kind of starting to become buddy-buddy with Club, and Club keeps threatening to smear mayonnaise on him the entire time from the alchemy jug and to eat him on a long rest. So Stool, he's having fun. He's burying himself in the mud, taking a mud bath, and Club says, if you don't get your ass out of that mud, I'm going to frickin' put that mayonnaise on you and eat your ass. So that actually kind of scared Stool. And then Stool, of course, started going around hitting everybody to wake them up. And, would Stool know to do that? Probably not. But, I mean, it's fun to have Stool kind of run around and at least do something, because he really can't do anything else except for a +2 or +3 to hit slam, and that's really not a whole lot. But I let him go around and wake people up with a bonus action. So he was running around using double bonus actions to wake people up. Now it's the Pitmaster's turn, and the Pitmaster hits him on his first attack, and Club goes down, because he only had a couple of hit points left. So he says, I'm back up because of my half-orc, class feature where I stay at 1 hit point. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So he's taunting me, you still couldn't take me down. You ain't got the skills and all this other crap. And I'm like, all right, dude, this is how you want it. So I went ahead and I attacked him with the second attack. And guess what? It hit because I used DM Inspiration. So now he's getting the point that he's goading me, and the other players are like, dude, that's a bad tactical move there, Club. You're goading the DM. So now he's already burned his racial 1 hit point feature, and now he's down. He's unconscious. And now he's saying, dude, you ain't got the balls to kill me. And he is totally goading me. And I'm wondering to myself, why is he goading me like this? I'm wondering why. I'm like, does he want me to kill him? And now I'm starting to kind of add things up in my head. They're talking about they don't have any healing potions left. Fergie doesn't take any healing spells. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe he's trying to get me to kill him. But I don't know. I can't be for sure on that, because I know all of these guys are friends and they talk all the time, and I know that they talk about the game a lot. But I don't know if they conspired beforehand to get me to kill off Club. But he's goading me the whole time. So the next round starts. Fergie attacks the Lord of Snails a couple more times and literally solos that thing in 4 shots. I mean, he had to burn 2 second-level spell slots and 2 first-level spell slots. But Fergie, the rock star that she is, she literally solos the Lord of the Snails. And that was beautiful. I was so impressed by that. And then the Yuan-tis, they got some more attacks. And I was just plugging away on Club. I was plugging on him from range from the Abomination. First, took him down. He was already down anyway. But the first one took him to 1 death saving throw. And then I hit him again. That was another strike. So now he's sitting at two strikes already. And he hasn't even had his first opportunity to roll a death saving throw. So if he fails his death saving throw, he's dead with 3 strikes. But I hope he doesn't, because his turn's going to be coming up in a few positions in the tracker. And I'm thinking to myself, please be successful, because I have this cinematic that is just going to be amazing. And the players are going to have their jaws dropped as I explain this on the 3rd death, on the 3rd strike. So usually when someone's down, the players are usually saying, all right, they're kind of planning things out ahead of time. They're like, okay, you go here, you do this, I'll go ahead and take care of this. But they did nothing like that during this encounter. They just let Club lay there on the ground. It was actually kind of shocking. It was Fergie's turn. He engages a Malison that's up top on the northern part of the map. So now he uses his turn. Fergie goes again. He engages another Malison that's over to the north. Eton goes. Eton engages the Pitmaster and stands right beside Club and doesn't even at least try to stabilize him or anything like that. Jimson, he throws another bead. He kind of runs into the room, runs along the wall, throws another bead. But everybody is ignoring him. Even Stool. You know, they just told Stool to go ahead and wake Puck up. And Puck, he didn't do anything. Because Puck wasn't there to begin with. Puck was getting home late from work and stuff. So we were kind of community playing him. But he was slept anyway. And this is, by this point, this is like round 3. But they didn't say anything, you know, about healing Club or anything. They just forgot about him. So that kind of makes me wonder, you know what I mean? So they get back to the Abomination, and now Club says, "You ain't got the balls and I double dog dare you." I said, all right, no problem. So I went ahead and used another DM inspiration, and I hit Club easily. It was actually a crit. So I gave this dramatic cinematic as the Abomination, which is a large creature anyway. I said he picks your corpse up, Club. He holds you above his head, and like twisting the head off of a shrimp, he just twists your body in half as your blood and guts are just pouring out onto the floor, and then he just throws you down. And everybody was like, they couldn't believe that I killed him. Or were they actually playing it off? I don't know. And I still don't know. But then Jimson, he said a couple times, well, I don't take damage or anything like that. But he took some from the Lord of the Snails during the acid splash. And he says, well, at least I'm safe here in the corner. So now I'm on a roll. The Abomination's got another attack. So the Abomination goes ahead and pulls his bow back out, turns towards Jimson, and I rolled another crit for a second attack. I rolled 2 crits in a row on the Abomination. Jimson doesn't have a lot of hit points to begin with. And I nailed him. And Jimson went down. And I did so much damage that he was 1 hit point away from an instant death because of the half damage past 0 mechanic. He was 1 hit point away from an instant death. That actually closed his mouth pretty quick. And now the party's going into crisis mode because now Club is down, Jimson's down, their baller that's, throwing fireball beads everywhere. And now I go ahead and with the Pitmaster, I fear Fergie, because now I want to take Fergie out of the equation. And Fergie fails the wisdom saving throw. Fergie's feared. Fergie runs away. So the Malison takes down Thing. Now Thing is unconscious. So now it's up to Eton and Puck. Those are the only ones that are still up. So now Puck gets home and he starts logging into Google Hangouts and into the Fantasy Grounds game. And the first thing out of everyone's mouth is, holy shit, Club is dead. You need to hurry up and get in here because you're about to die too. So he rushes in and they're kind of explaining everything to him while he's on his phone still. And like I said, Eton and Puck, they're the only ones that are still conscious. But Puck, he has a potion left. He gets Jimson up. Jimson blasts all 7 charges of that wand of magic missiles that he had. And, he didn't roll a 1 or anything for the disintegration effect on the wand in case he uses all the charges. But that took out the Pitmaster. The Pureblood was taken out. That was taken out by Puck. Puck actually did really good. Puck had 3 inspirations saved up, and he was burning them. And then, Fergie made the saving throw on her next turn. She was back into the fight. She helped take out the abomination with the help of both Eton and Puck, and they basically exhausted all of their resources, all of their spell slots, and they were actually on the edge of their seat. That was a great encounter. And it cost them their barbarian. Well, the barbarian kind of goaded me anyway. And now they're out of combat. And they're wondering if they can res Club. I said, you guys have a scroll of resurrection or anything like that? I was just playing it off, and they're like, no. I'm like, well, no, you can't res Club. I said, but if you want to drag him around the shrine, you can in this offering bowl. I said, it's pretty heavy, but you guys could probably tie some ropes onto it and drag his corpse around. I don't know if it'll be very fun for him. And so now Club starts looking through his player's handbook, and he's like, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and make a cleric. So was this planned by them? I don't know. I can't say it was or if it wasn't. I don't think it was, because I actually, on our break, they were kind of talking. We took a break as Club was making this new cleric, and they were talking like, man, that was a bad tactical approach on Club's part. Maybe Club planned it. I don't know. But Club's a cool guy. I'm not mad at him or anything. I mean, he's just that kind of a joker, a kidder that, you would have a joker in just about every one of your D&D games. So all of a sudden, to let him, come back into the game, first off, he made a life cleric. And I asked him, do you want to start at level 1 or do you want to start at level 5 with the others? And he thought about it for a minute, and he wanted to go hardcore. He goes, I'll go ahead and start at 1. But then everybody's like, no, you're starting at level 5. So I went ahead and I gave him the choice. And all of a sudden, the offering bowl starts to move, and another yuan-ti pops out. And it was Club's new cleric. And his name is Tyrus. And like I said, he's a life cleric. And right off the bat, guys, he was using this very slithery, raspy type of voice, like a serpent. And I was laughing. I mean, this is coming from Club, the guy that rags on me for role-playing and making all of my corny voices and stuff. So it's kind of rubbed off on him, and he was going, my name is Tyrus, and all this other stuff. It was great. I loved it. So they got all cleaned up. They got everything taken care of. They didn't get any loot from that encounter, and they were like, holy shit, there was nothing in there for that hard encounter. I said, nope. They were worshipers, and everything that they had, they put into the offering bowl, which was nothing like bones and shit like that. But that was a fun encounter, and hey, now they got their cleric. But like I said, I still don't know if that was planned or not. So the party takes a short rest. They're still licking their chops from not getting any loot. They have this new yuan-ti cleric named Tyrus that is a defector of this yuan-ti clan inside of the shrine or the temple of Tamoachin. And they start off. And both Puck and Fergie, they're going down the hall to the north, and they come to a wooden door that's bowing out and water's leaking out from under it. And so they're arguing who's going to try to pick the lock, and it wasn't even locked in the first place, but they're fighting over who's going to be the primary, lock picker, who's going to, start checking for traps and all this stuff. And Fergie just walks up and says, okay, guys, get out of here. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure behind this door. So Fergie tells everybody to get back to the yuan-ti room where the Lord of Snails was. And she opens up the door, and of course, the door explodes off of the hinges, knocks her back. She had a really nice athletics check for strength. So she was able to hold on to the corner before the water would have rushed her down the hall and then back into the other room, where she would have taken a significant amount of damage. But she had a pretty good strength check. And then they entered the room. It was only a 20 by 20 room. I mean, it was nothing of significance. It was just a sort of like a speed bump on the road. Then they went through the other side of the door. They found the hallway. And in this hallway, it went to the north, and then there was also a secret door that was already open. And then Fergie told everybody to wait there because they were still bantering who's going to, open up doors and stuff. And by this point, I could tell that it was getting a little later, and with Club having to make a character for 45 minutes, they wanted to press on because time was running out. So Fergie went down the secret passage and noticed that the secret passage ended up back to where there was the big statue where they found the Plant Slayer sword. Then after that, they went ahead and went north. There was a double door. Eton and both he and Fergie open up the door. And as they opened up the door, it was an oddly shaped room. And they could hear singing as they went inside. And the room itself it had like a very low green glow, like illumination. And there was a little sandy shore and a beautiful crystal clear pool with a Nereid that was singing a song. And, the beautiful water had lily pads, had reeds, and she was startled because of the stone door she heard open up. She turned around, she chuckled, and then she dove in to the water. And to the right, there was a 10-foot wide hallway that traveled back to the east. Over the other side of the water, this pool of water that the Nereid just jumped in, there was also a beautiful bronze door with a huge sun that took up both 5-foot sections of this door. So now Tyrus, he goes into this oddly shaped room with both Fergie and Eton, and they're all asking, hey lady, where are you? They're yelling out hello, and she pops back up, and she introduces herself as Dosa Zotz. And I described her as being beautiful and, very slim, and her hair was covering her breasts and whatnot. So now all the guys are like, yeah, I'm going to bone her and stuff like that. It was so friggin' funny. So Dosa, she is starting to role play with him, and she's kind of waiting in the pool. And the party members are asking, hey, we're lost. Can you help us find the altar of the vampire, god of the underworld? And she said that she didn't know where that was, but you could go to another area of the temple through the double doors, and you could go to a nasty, muddy room over to the right, which actually would have took them back to the first crossroads where they fought the giant hermit crab and stuff. But the party, they were like, well, no, we're looking for this. So they're starting to talk and ask questions about this altar that they're trying to find for Mick. And then she stops and asks if they would like to, enjoy some lunch and stay for lunch. So she could, try to recall. But she was checking them out too. Because then all of a sudden, she starts talking about she's lonely and she wants to find a mate. And she wants to have a mate to share all of this treasure with. And as soon as I said that, the neon lights came on. The T word. That's code word. You know what I mean? The T word. So there are like, treasure. So that was funny. And she says, oh yeah. So now she's starting to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And she notices that Fingerella in real life was drinking Kraken still. So he's like, his eyes are closed. He's nodding off. It's so funny. And so she's role playing with Fingerella, trying to get that bottle of Kraken. Even though it wasn't, it was just for role play purposes and stuff. And she offered him a couple of golden idols that were down in her secret stash, which was a grotto, like a hole in the wall. And there's a bunch of stuff down there. But they never pursued it. And she offered Fingerella a couple 250 gold statues for this bottle of fake Kraken. But he wouldn't come clean with it. He wouldn't come clean with it. So, the party said, well, thank you for your time and all this stuff. And they went ahead and went back into the muddy room where, I can't remember the name of that NPC, but it was where they fought the hermit crab. So there was the doors to the north that they never went through. So that's where they went through those doors. And then it was another long corridor. It veered to the west. They found a dead end. Actually, they found stairs that were leading up and a bunch of rubble blocking the path. And they really couldn't have, got through that anyway. I mean, even if they would have taken weeks and weeks to dig, it wouldn't have been efficient for them. But on their way back, Puck actually and Jimson, they noticed that there was a damaged portion of plaster that was on the eastern wall. And they could kind of see a little bit of light poking through that was shining on the other side of the hallway. So they start peeling this plaster that was damaged by water, so they can see that there's a door frame. And it's actually not even a door frame, it's a huge block. But anyways, they get the block moved, and they enter this like a foyer. And it has 6 big pots, 3 pots on the north end of the alcove and 3 pots on the south. And there was oil. There was literally 6 huge casks of oil. And they didn't do anything with it. They didn't fill up vials or anything like that. And some of them have vials in their inventory. But they didn't do anything with it. They just left it there. But they went straight for the bronze double doors that were on the other side of the foyer. And Thing, he's like out of commission. He's like falling asleep. He's like his head's down and all that. And Puck, he notices that there's a very, very, very complex trap that's on this double door. And the trap it's a canister. And it's under extreme pressure, and it has this poisonous sleeping gas. And if it explodes, the characters don't know this, but you're cursed for like 5,000 years. Unless you have like remove curse or something like that, which they could actually do with lesser restoration that's on Dawnbringer, or AKA Dawnbringer. And but they don't know that. But it was a very complex trap. Puck actually, with a couple of clutch rolls, he uses inspiration, and he deactivated the trap, which was a very thin glass orb that's under that extreme pressure. And he got it to move out of the way. They got the door open. And then Puck, when he gets in there, and there's this huge chamber with 10 pillars and all these buttresses that are connecting the pillars to the walls. I mean, this place is beautiful. Puck he loves to extract poison from, creatures and stuff. And he's like, well, Dave, can I extract this poison from this glass orb? I said, sure. Why don't you give me an investigation check? And he did, and it was successful. And I said, you're looking at this and you think to yourself, you don't even want to attempt this. And I sent him a private tell on that. And he goes, okay, so I'm going to kind of put this to the side, because I think he still wants to kind of do something with this glass orb that has this poisonous sleeping gas. And he doesn't even know that it's going to curse you for 5,000 years. He doesn't even know that, which is great. So I hope he does do something with it, though. But like I said, they go into this beautiful chamber with all these marble pillars and inscriptions of bats all over the place. So now they're thinking, oh man, we think we're in the room where the bat altar is. And they think that the huge sarcophagus that's in the middle of the chamber, that's in the 10 pillars kind of go around the room, and then this huge sarcophagus isn't dominating the center chamber. And they're thinking the altar's in there. So now they're like, all right, well, we think we're almost done with this first part with Mick, but they're not at all. They're not even close to being done. But they're kind of looking around. They're being really careful in here. And Fergie, with a good perception, notices that there's an axe that's embedded on the opposite side of the door where they came in. And this axe is casting a shadow of a hand. Really creepy, especially, you can see with the image here. And Fergie goes up to inspect it. Fergie's like, man, I want that freaking axe. That thing is beautiful. It's like a high gloss bronze and a beautiful snakeskin wrapped shaft and stuff. And as he goes up to it, I explained to him that he starts to feel a cold sensation and a chill runs down his spine as he gets close. And he's like, okay, I'm backing up. I don't know what to expect from this. So now they're starting to concentrate on all of the pillars that have all of these, like all this iconage and glyphs of bats and stuff like this. And it's all written in Ulman. And it starts to talk about Talokas and, the bat god and all this other stuff. So we are in the right place. So now they're like, okay, we got to get this sarcophagus open. And like I said, this thing is massive. So on the top of this, and as they're all walking up to the sarcophagus, I really make it dramatic, and I tell them that this scripture starts to illuminate. That's on, glow a very light green. That's on top of the sarcophagus lid. And then there's runes on the base, on the floor around the base of the little pedestal that it's sitting on. But this thing is huge. It's like 15 feet long. It's like 10 feet wide. This thing is massive. So something is huge inside of this. And they're starting to do all these checks. Eton and Fergie are trying to put two and two together. They don't understand Ulman. But, hey, the new yuan-ti Tyrus, he understands Ulman now. So that's another thing that's making me think, okay, because they were having a problem deciphering what all this stuff was. And they kept using Stool all the time to comprehend these languages. And they were running out of charges because Stool only could do this a couple times a day. So now with, Tyrus, the new yuan-ti, he can understand Ulman. They don't have to worry about Stool anymore. So he's looking at this lid, and on the lid, it names the person inside of the sarcophagus, which his name is Talokas. And it says, here lies Talokas. And it says his death year was 54-3-9. And they're like, okay, well, if that says that, what is on the bottom? What's on the floor here? Well, on the pedestal that's holding up the actual sarcophagus. So Tyrus looks at it and he goes, those are all of the numbers of the Ulman language from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now they're starting to say, okay, this is a puzzle. And Fergie's like, well, does it look like these runes can be touched? And, I said, yes. You're looking at it. I let him do an investigation check. And I said, yes, it looks like each one of these numbers can be depressed, and it looks like these will light up even brighter, or maybe even turn off. So without even thinking, Fergie's like, okay, I'm going to take a chance. And he tells everybody to go outside. So he puts in 54-3-9. Well, 5439 in the runes that's on the base of the altar. And then all of a sudden, I give this dramatic scene of, dust is starting to fall from the columns, and you're starting to hear this light rumble as the lid just kind of slides off of the sarcophagus. And then he's like, well, I look inside, and I say, there's another sarcophagus inside, but it's much smaller. And then it had some scripture in Ulman as well. And of course, everybody started coming back in once they noticed that, the room didn't explode and with fire, and all these, demons and undead were, not coming out. And this is when Fergie did something very smart. She cast Divine Sense. And Divine Sense lets you know if there's any kind of like demon, devil, or undead within 60 feet or 80 feet or 100 feet. And I said, no, you don't sense any kind of presence. And there is a vampire inside of that sarcophagus. But this sarcophagus is full of all this treasure, and this skeleton wears a mask, and wears a pendant. And if the mask or pendant is taken off of the skeleton, that's when the vampire comes to life. And you can put this mask or pendant back on and it'll stop in its current state. And, it takes a couple of rounds for this vampire to, become active, and he sits up in a coffin and, all of this flesh starts to come up and start molding itself. So that will be a pretty cool, cinematic scene to describe to the players, because, they're going to take this stuff next session. And then Puck says, all right, so whatever's in this sarcophagus is going to try to run for that axe. So we need to be over there and ready to intercept whatever's inside of here. So they were kind of planning it out already. But that was really good how Tyrus kind of fit right in, understood Ullman. And so they went ahead and they opened up this second sarcophagus inside. And I described it as, as they were opening up, it was like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. How he opened up the sarcophagus or the treasure box, and this golden light just smashes him in the face, and his eyes just get big as this treasure is just so lighting up the entire tomb now. And so that's how I explained it to him. And this skeleton is adorned with all kinds of rings and jewelry and platinum and gold coins and the mask and the jade pendant. And they were like, is there a shadow of an axe coming off of his arm? I thought it was ingenious. And Puck actually brought this up, because the axe that's embedded into the wall, which cannot be pulled off only by the owner, and the owner is Talokas, which is the vampire that's in this sarcophagus. He's the only one that can pull the axe out of the wall. And whoever that this Berserker axe +2 with a bunch of other spells and features, I mean, this thing is massively powerful. I may tone it down a little bit. But if it's bound, whoever it's bound to is the only one that can pull it out of that wall. So that's where we pretty much ended the game. And this encounter has a lot of treasure. I mean, there is a ton of gold. There's like a ring of fire resistance. There's some potions in there. There's a lot of very expensive pieces of jewelry, statues. I think there's also like a potion of heroism. But there's a bracers of defense, like a ring of protection. There's like a ring of animal companionship. There's so much stuff in this sarcophagus. But the encounter is just Talokas, and he is a vampire spawn, and all he can do is summon bats. So I'm going to have some fun with this encounter, and I am going to summon probably a couple of dozen bats, all MM stuff, like a bat, a giant bat, swarms of bats. There's like a skin bat in the Tome of Beasts from Kobold Press. I'm going to add a bunch of those. And it's going to be Talokas just summoning tons of bats every round. And I'm going to summon like 6 or 8 bats every round, a couple of each, and just overwhelm them. Hopefully they'll be smart about this and take a long rest, because they have no spells left. They have nothing left. Tyrus has his spell slots, but everybody else is tapped out. The Wand of Magic Missiles is basically tapped out. Man, what could happen? If Jimson starts throwing more of these beads off of the fireball necklace, it's going to make that poison canister explode up top there. The one that Puck deactivated and the one that Puck wants to take. So that's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. And then from there, they've got a couple other places that they can go, and then they're going to ascend up into the upper portion of. There's actually like a couple of places that can teleport the party and split the party up and stuff. So I think next episode will be pretty good, and we're going to be playing in 2 weeks. So it was a good session. Club died, but hey, that's Dungeons and Dragons. Sometimes players die. But like I said, I don't think Club did that on purpose. I don't think the group conspired. I just think Club didn't think I would do it, but I did. You know, here's a hint, players. Don't goad your DM. Don't double dog dare, and don't say you got the ball. You ain't got the balls to kill my character, because guess what? Probably 8 or 9 times out of 10, your dungeon master is going to kill your character. So there you go, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this campaign diary. Already number 9. Time is flying by. I'm really enjoying the transition. And hey, they're having a hard problem already, but now they got their cleric. They're actually kind of happy about that. Although, you know, they are going to miss Club, because Club did a lot of damage. But now Fergie's using a lot of the divine smites and stuff, and plus Eton with Dongbringer, he's doing a lot of damage. Jimson's doing a lot of damage, so they could actually afford to miss Club to get a cleric. Now they got a 5th level cleric with, you know, 3rd level spell slots, which is good. So join the discussion down below, everybody. Please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the game. Let me know if you think I was a little bit too harsh on Club as well. I always respond to your comments, so let me know what you think. And Jimson almost went down too. He was within 1 hit point of dying, so we almost had a double for the night. It was crazy. It was a fun night. So thank you guys. I'll see you in a couple weeks with the next campaign diary. And until next time, happy gaming and keep it savage.